I'm Yahoo Finance Executive Editor Brian Sozzi, and you're taking a look at a live shot of the opening bells on Wall Street on this somewhat rainy Wednesday morning here in New York City. That is, at least, the government of Switzerland ringing the bell at the New York Stock Exchange. Security National getting things underway at the NASDAQ. Of course, they're keeping things secure. All right, if the market is trying to show everyone that it knows what a melt-up is, it's doing a pretty good job, friends. Stocks continue to meander higher, mesmerized by the prospect of more interest rate cuts and bullishness on the AI trade. News out of Micron and Alibaba are helping to add fuel on the latter topic. Micron served up upbeat earnings, and Alibaba is promising to spend billions more to build out high-powered AI models. All right, let's head down to NASDAQ and check out Yahoo Finance senior reporter Brooke DePalma to see what's hot in the markets this morning. Brooke, lots of focus on Alibaba and, of course, Micron.
Absolutely, Sozzi. Both of those stocks really driving the momentum this morning after we did see all three major indices close, breaking that hot streak that we saw at the 3 straight record days prior to Tuesday's down day for a close in the red yesterday. Now, we are seeing some momentum this morning. All three major indices in the green. As you can see here, the Dow trading just near about 300 points away from that record high. We also have the NASDAQ regaining some momentum as well, sitting about 200 points lower than its record high at this market open, up leading the gains here, up nearly 0.3%, moving higher as we speak. And the S&P 500 also moving higher, up about 0.2%, also trading near that record high of 6,699 points. I do want to dive into those semiconductor chips, though, because we did hear from Micron, the data memory chip maker, yesterday afternoon, and we are seeing some downward momentum this morning at the open after there was a bit of optimism heading into yesterday's report. Keep in mind, though, the company did beat on both the top and bottom line. They surpassed expectations when it came to guidance. And we did hear 6 firms raise their price targets, with Rosenblatt Securities even raising it the most to $250 for this stock. But after such a run year to date, this downward momentum perhaps expected, down about 1.3% into the open, but it's up nearly 100% year to date, and certainly rallying off those April lows. Also leading the momentum this morning, I do want to take a look at AMD, Advanced Micro Devices. We are seeing some momentum there this morning on the back of this, up more than 2% to kick off the day after they did see some momentum yesterday as well. And taking a step back, the NASDAQ, we are mostly seeing green this morning, besides some just a slight decline from Apple, a slight decline from Broadcom as well, which has seen some downward momentum in the last few days. But Nvidia, that key player here that I know we'll discuss deeply throughout the show, definitely holding on to that momentum in the open here. And year to date, this stock has had quite the run, up more than 30%, a little less than some other AI players rather, but definitely seeing some momentum there, up more than 30% year to date, up about 0.4% at the open. And we're now seeing all three major indices in the green to kick off this Wednesday's trading session.
Brooke, you got an umbrella? It's a little rainy out there outside the NASDAQ. You good?
Oh, no umbrella, but I did notice it was raining, so I'll have to grab one.
All right, yeah, please do.
But lots of happiness inside the NASDAQ.
We got to keep Yahoo Finance squad members safe. All right, here's what I'm tracking out of the gate today. Thanks, Brooke. AI domination. Alibaba has the hottest ticker page on the Yahoo Finance platform after a big session powered by CEO comments. The company plans to spend billions more to build out powerful AI models. At the same time, Micron had a big earnings release and conference call last night. One thing is clear here: stop fearing peak AI capex. Just stop it. You missed something from the Fed chief. Moving right along, with investors so fixated on what Jerome Powell didn't say on interest rates at a Tuesday lunch, they missed an important point he made on the labor market that actually offered clues on interest rates. And talking Tether, crypto giant Tether is reportedly in talks to raise as much as $20 billion in a private placement that could value the firm at about $500 billion. Will this news arrest the declines we have seen lately in crypto? The opening bid roundtable will weigh in. Speaking of that roundtable, they are here with me now. Victoria Fernandez is Crossmark Global Investments Chief Market Strategist, and we have Yahoo Finance senior reporters Brooke DePalma and Inez Ferre. Good to see you all. Victoria, coming out of the block with you here. I just think it's time to put to bed this constant fear that the AI trade is peaking. It's done. Every piece of news that we've gotten the past 7 days has been positive.
Yeah, there's definitely a fear that that's what has been almost the sole driver of this market going higher and higher. And so there's this concern that, are we going to get some of the positive sentiment behind AI? Is that going to pull back? And that's going to be bad news for the equity market. But like you're saying, there is support here. I mean, one of the things I've looked at is when you talk about the CapEx with these companies, I was concerned about free cash flow. We have seen that come down a little bit, but earnings continue to support these companies. And so I think when you see these deals being made, when you see the CapEx that's there, when you see earnings support the numbers that are coming out, then I think you have to kind of ride this train and go along with it, not bet against it right now. I mean, Nvidia is our largest holding in our large cap core strategy, and it's that for a reason. So I do think there's more room to run here, and you want to make sure you have exposure to some of these names in your portfolio.
Victoria, let me, as the kids would say, double click. I'm going to double click on what you just said about Nvidia. What other names, if you own Nvidia, what else are you invested in when it comes to AI? And do you need to own a basket of AI stocks when you can own Nvidia and just have that pure play that is seemingly crushing everyone else?
Okay, so it does make me a little bit nervous, Brian, when we want to put all our eggs in one basket for that. So from a pure diversification standpoint, I would say you want to spread that out. But look at the deals that are being made. I know we might talk about that a little bit more later. So I think there are other opportunities that you can have. We have exposure to Broadcom. We have exposure to Qualcomm. We have a little bit of Lam Research in there. There's some other elements within that space that we have exposure to. And I think you want that. It's not Nvidia is going to be 100% of the game going forward. So there's other opportunities. And as we know, as Nvidia continues to do well and builds things, it does lift the rest of those stocks as well. So I think there are more opportunities, but it is our largest holding in that space.
It's almost, we're at the point as where, and as a former analyst, I can't believe I'm going to say this, maybe you just ignore for right now some of the valuations on these AI names.
I'm going to plug my ears on that one.
Yeah, because I know, me too. And it's like you just ignore some of the valuations on these names and ride momentum, because that's what we're seeing in the markets.
Yeah, look, I mean, you've seen an incredible run with Nvidia, with Micron. Look at what's happening with Alibaba. Some of the commentary about Micron was basically the outlook blows out even the highest of expectations. I mean, this just all bodes well for the AI industry as a whole, and the bullishness that Wall Street has had with the AI industry. And I will also comment that, I was looking at some commentary from UBS about AI and the AI infrastructure growth, and they are looking beyond that. They are saying, look, not only does, for example, earlier this week, the Nvidia OpenAI deal, I know that you'll probably talk about that as well, but look, that has also bled into the need for power, for electricity. So you even saw this week also stocks like Constellation Energy and Vistra, the nuclear theme as well, because this entire AI generation is not just touching the chip stocks. It is also touching the entire industrial industry. It's also touching utilities. So there's many points to this AI theme.
Yeah, Inez, don't give up the rest of the show here. I wrote a big, beautiful segment on Nvidia later on. I mean, it's like a deep tease. This is going to be an awesome segment. Brooke, let me get back to you real quick, because you were talking a little bit about Alibaba, top of the show. If you can, pull up a chart on Alibaba, because I think the market forgot how tethered Alibaba, a Chinese internet e-commerce play, is tethered to the AI trade, because they are.
Yeah, Alibaba this morning seeing a bit of a pop, up about 9%. And when you look at this stock, what we've seen over the recent run-up is really the momentum about how Alibaba is really capturing the key demographic within the China e-commerce market. This is a very digital native consumer. This is a consumer that typically shops majority of time on their phone. They're not going to retail as much as even, of course, the fallback here in the U.S. Now that is a big boom here as well. But this investment, this partnership rather, that they now have with Nvidia really doubles down their intent intention to win over e-commerce with AI, be the most innovative. But of course, you can't help but think of Amazon and Walmart, those two players who have really doubled down. Walmart recently announcing Sparky, their AI chatbot
Sparky?
as well. So Sparky, I don't know if you've heard of him, but really Walmart and Amazon also getting in on this play. But certainly now Alibaba teaming up with Nvidia, it seems like every time you hear the Nvidia get into the conversation, things just got a whole lot more serious.
Sounds like something we got to toss a milk bone to. Throw back to like 1987, Sparky. I want to stay on AI. And Victoria, listen to this comment we got from Fed Chair Jerome Powell on AI during his lunch yesterday.
Lots of questions around whether AI is a major factor associated with the relatively low hiring rate for people just graduating from school and just entering the labor market. And, you know, people are doing studies on that. We think we can find some evidence that AI, generative AI, is having some, it's one of the reasons here, but we can't really say it's the main reason.
Victoria, I think the market totally overlooked this because if you really drill into it, I think Powell's suggesting more labor market weakness ahead, in large part because of AI. But even at the same token, I'm not sure lower interest rates can solve the proliferation of AI and its impact on the labor market.
Brian, that is exactly the point that we've been talking with our clients about in regards to cuts from the Federal Reserve and how effective they're going to be. If companies aren't hiring because, one, they are either using AI to replace some of those more entry-level jobs or jobs within certain sectors, coding, marketing being two of the big ones, or because you're just having more concern and uncertainty around tariffs and what that's going to look like, and so they don't want to bring on new expenses right now and have their unit labor costs go higher. If those are the reasons, cutting the Fed funds rate really is not going to help that at all. And so it has to make you take a step back and say, why are they lowering rates? If they continue to lower them, is it because they are really concerned about growth? And that's a whole nother story than what we're having here. There could be a weakening in the labor market from these things, but a cut does not help those issues in the labor market. It's going to have to be developing new jobs, just like we've seen in the past in history. As new technology comes along, you get new types of jobs. That's what we're going to have to see in order to bump up this labor market, if that's the main reason we've seen this low rate of hiring.
And as it's AI's moment. It's proliferating throughout corporate America. It does bother me that, because of this, a rate cut may not be a rate cut like it normally would have been.
Yeah, I mean, the impact of AI in the labor market, we all know that it is having some impact in the labor market. We just don't know the full extent of it. But as far as the labor market and the Fed rate cuts, and what I have found interesting from just listening to Powell and also listening to Miran this week, listening also to Bowman, is just sort of the differences in whether or not or how much a rate cut should be. Miran wanting a 50 basis point cut, Michelle Bowman talking about also the risk of the labor market and weakening labor market. So it'll be interesting to see where the Fed goes and that dual mandate and how they balance that.
Last one real quick, Victoria, back to you. I'm watching this Tether news. I was quite frankly shocked, not that they could raise $20 billion, that they might be valued at $500 billion. Now, we've seen a sell-off in crypto. Does news like this, should it make one more inclined to dip their toes back into crypto if they've been bearish the past few weeks?
So in full disclosure, we're not investing in crypto. But when we look at this, you have to say, wait, there's more opportunities coming. They're going to kind of develop into this stable coin. They're looking to bring that back to the U.S. A lot of that having to do with the current administration and the deregulations that we're seeing around that area. And look at that valuation. They're like at the same value as OpenAI, I believe. So this is a huge step forward in this market. There's a lot of volatility around it. But I think it gives you an opportunity to play maybe something different than just investing in Bitcoin or in a Bitcoin ETF, gives you a different opportunity. And I think stable coins, when you look at how they're linked to U.S. Treasuries, that could be a whole nother story too that could come in and support some things within the Treasury market.
Good point indeed. Victoria Brooke-Inez, stick with me. Lots more ahead on Opening Bid. Straight ahead, I am staying on the Nvidia trade with some fresh analysis. Compliments of the Yahoo Finance community. That's you and one of my longtime mentors. More on all this coming up. Welcome back to Opening Bid. Firing up my top call for the day. I got an interesting note on Chipotle from veteran restaurant analyst John Tower today. He toured a store and met with Chipotle's CEO Scott Boatwright in Southern California. While John reiterated a buy rating on the stock, he did have a few negative points that may explain the ongoing stock weakness. Here's what John said. Quote, the brand continues to hold market share in a challenging industry backdrop. There are no clear immediate fixes for traffic, and Chipotle is doing more today than in the past to drive traffic and comparable sales. Bears could argue the near-term top-line softness and need to spend and do more to drive traffic will ultimately come at the cost of store profits and returns, which should pressure the multiple. Food for thought on Chipotle for sure. All right, Nvidia is my stock of the day, not simply because it continues to be one of the hottest tickers on our platform, and this week alone it has revealed 2 new key deals with OpenAI and Alibaba. Nope, that's not the reason at all. The reason is because you, the Yahoo Finance community, continue to chat about Nvidia in our new community channel on our platform and share bullish views on the stock. Let me walk you through what the community is saying on Nvidia right now. First, as Nvidia's stock price has turned higher again in the past 5 sessions, we are seeing more of an interest in the information on Nvidia's ticker page on Yahoo Finance. To me, that is a great sign you are doing your homework on Nvidia and want to stay engaged with the most important stock in the market. Good job, friends. 2, you can see in the portfolio changes chart, the community is likely adding to their Nvidia positions. Why? The fundamentals warrant it, which are you likely seeing from the homework you're doing that I just mentioned. Also, good job. One last point on Nvidia, and this came from my friend and mentor Jim Cramer pre-5 a.m. today on X. Nvidia's stock still looks cheap. Shares only trade at 28 times estimated numbers for Nvidia's next fiscal year. That's not bad at all. Jim has a very, very good point. So what's the play here for investors? Still with me, Victoria Fernandez, Brooke DePalma, and Inez Ferre. Victoria, I'm going to start with you because you said earlier on in the show you own Nvidia. It's a core holding for you all. We know the bullish case. What keeps you up at night with having a big position in Nvidia?
Yeah, my concern when it comes to Nvidia is kind of goes around some of the things we've talked about already. The concern that we may not get the return on investment from all of the CapEx that they're putting out there and these deals that they've put in place. Some of them are quite circular, right? You talked about Nvidia investing in OpenAI that's doing a deal with Oracle that then goes and buys chips from Nvidia. So there's this cycle that's going, and is it kind of self-supportive or is it in somewhat of its own little for lack of a better word, its own little bubble that it has there? How long can that be supportive? I need to see the return on investments coming from all of the CapEx that's going out. And if I don't, then that's a concern for me and something that'll make us have to rethink some of our positioning.
Victoria, are you ignoring news out of China as it pertains to Nvidia? And the bigger story is some of these giant deals they continue to ink.
I don't think you can ignore it. It's a huge part of their business. And the fact that they're able to make these deals in China, whereas before we weren't sure they were going to be able to. I mean, you look at the last earnings and China wasn't even included, right, in the talk that they had there. So the fact that you're being able to go in and ink these deals, make that part of your core business and have that going forward for revenue generation, I think it's a huge component of the company. It's something that they need to do and that they're being successful in. So I think that's definitely a positive for them.
Inez, just when I think Nvidia is out of catalysts, they come up with another one.
Yeah, look, that China, the Alibaba Nvidia deal, that is certainly bullish for Nvidia. The concerns that Victoria was talking about, that sort of circle flywheel scenario with OpenAI, Oracle, and Nvidia, that is a concern. But also the flip side of that is that the OpenAI deal, for example, that is in phases. So you do have these, it's structurally in phases and with some anchors in it. So you do have that going for it. But look, I will tell you this, that's the stock for Nvidia is right now at 177. The street has 72 buys on this stock with a price target average of $214. So there's still a 20% upside according to that street consensus.
I dare someone to put a sell rating. I dare you. If you are that sell rating person, I mean, just send me a message on X. I need to hear from you. But Brooke, to Inez's point, we were just showing a great chart from from the Yahoo Finance community channel on changes people are making to their portfolios. They continue to buy any dips on Nvidia.
Yeah, what we've seen over the past month is largely Nvidia remained flat. But I will say that over the past 3 months, which is really where we've seen this momentum around the AI tech rally, is Nvidia is up more than 20%. And that really goes to show that investors are willing to take on some risks. They have more appetite and ability to really say, what is the future outlook, albeit sometimes unclear. There is this momentum behind what could be and where Nvidia could be in a few years. And we've heard from so many analysts, mostly Wedbush's Dan Ives, about this being really the start, the momentum behind what could be a AI revolution, and Nvidia being the clear leader. And so when you hear this, there is this renewed hope that Nvidia has more room to run, to Inez's point. And that's what we've seen over the past 3 months. This stock is up more than 20%. And year to date, just like I mentioned at the top, this stock is up about 30%. And that's more cautious than maybe what we've seen with the other AI trades.
Just minting money, Nvidia bulls. All right, let's turn now to my question of the day, and it's short and sweet. Stocks sure seem like they are on a preset course currently to the upside. The question, are we witnessing a real-time stock market bubble? And Victoria, you mentioned bubble, so I'm coming back to you on the topic of that one. Are we in one?
When we think of a bubble, Brian, we think of stock prices going up really quickly, which we've seen with some speculative news around it. Yes, we've seen that in AI. We've seen that herd mentality. Those are all things you typically see in a bubble. But what we haven't seen is that detachment from fundamentals. Earnings are still supportive, as we talked about earlier, of these companies. You talked about the valuation on Nvidia, 28 times. That is not extremely expensive. Free cash flow is there. So I'm going to say we're not in a bubble until we start to see those fundamentals separate. And we're just not there yet.
I wish I had a sound effect, Victoria, because that is the point of the morning. Very good point, pushing back on these bubble concerns. Inez, I know you're going to come here and tell me you're going to say the market's at the top, right?
Look, this is the most hated V-shaped rally since April. Remember that. So the street still is expecting for stocks to turn higher from here. And that's partly because of the Fed easing that's expected. So bubble or not, everybody is talking about, hey, we seem like we're in a bubble, but yet you still are seeing stocks near all-time highs.
Brooke, not exactly your job to make stock market predictions, but look, I mean, it's feeling a little bubbly. I mean, I see where you are at the NASDAQ. I mean, a lot of these IPOs have come out, have been incredibly well received, valuations to the moon. We were just talking about Tether. It's an interesting time going into the end of the year.
Yeah, CoreWeave, another big winner of the IPO market this year. But I'm gonna reverse script here, because what we've been hearing from so many guests on Yahoo Finance is not necessarily a bubble risk. We're really alluding to what they're calling a melt up. Really, stocks sort of getting this momentum, lots of cash still on the sidelines. We had a guest on yesterday morning who actually said that there is $26 trillion of money market and savings on the sideline right now. Just investors waiting to perhaps jump in, holding that tight based upon what they're seeing with interest rates. And so like we've gotten so many calls from Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs, of their S&P 500 targets, like Inez had mentioned, of getting higher and higher. Even just this week, Goldman Sachs on Monday putting out that target. And so I'm going to reverse the script here and say maybe we're seeing a bit of a melt up. That's what many of our guests are telling us right now.
Good point for you two, Brooke. I knew when I saw you three on this panel roundtable, it was going to be a good day for opening bid viewers. Thank you all, Victoria Fernandez, Brooke De Palma, and Inez Ferrer. I really appreciate it. All right, for the better part of the summer, a black cloud was hanging over the AI trade, and this constant fear the AI was nearing a build-out or a peak. Suddenly, Wall Street profit estimates for AI companies were deemed too high, valuation multiples too lofty, and sentiment as orgasmic as that first sip of coffee at work in the morning. You know it. This entire thesis was proven to be trash throughout the summer, and even more so right now. Just look at the news today from Micron and Alibaba and Nvidia earlier in the week. So let's put to bed the AI is peaking view. It's well beyond time. AI stock pickers, you have the reminders you need to make informed, bullish bets on this powerful technological trend. I wish you well as you get this information from us here at Yahoo Finance. Coming up, Julie Hyman has you covered for Market Catalyst. Don't go anywhere.